Welcome back to CyberClinic. This is episode 11 of the weekly podcast. I am Claude Bernard, a doctorate candidate in health informatics and cybersecurity advocate. I thank you for being here as we break down complex health challenges and explore how AI and cybersecurity are reshaping care, education, and equity. Today, we're focusing on dyslexia, one of the most common learning differences in the world. The information shared in this podcast is for educational purposes only and should not be considered medical, legal, or therapeutic advice. Always consult a qualified healthcare or educational professional for guidance related to dyslexia, learning differences, or any health condition. Neither the host nor CyberClinic is responsible for actions taken based on this information. Thank you for listening and for being part of this vital conversation. What is dyslexia? Dyslexia is a neurodevelopmental learning difference that mainly affects a person's reading, spelling, and writing skills. In simple terms, dyslexia is not about intelligence. The brain processes written language differently. People with dyslexia often struggle with matching letters to sounds and accurately and smoothly decoding words. This can make reading slow, tiring, and frustrating, especially when it feels like classmates can read with ease. Some key facts. Dyslexia is not a vision problem. People with dyslexia do not see words backward. It's not caused by laziness or lack of effort. It's about how the brain's language centers connect and process symbols and sounds. Dyslexia is a lifelong condition, but with early support, proper teaching methods, and helpful technology, people with dyslexia can read, learn, and thrive. In the US, dyslexia is the most common learning difference. About 1 in every 10 students may have some degree of dyslexia. What causes dyslexia? Dyslexia is caused by differences in how the brain processes written and spoken language. It's a neurodevelopmental condition, not something a person chooses or catches. Here are some key factors and causes. In genetics, the strongest factor is heredity. Dyslexia tends to run in families. Studies show that if a parent has dyslexia, each child has a 40 to 60% chance of also having it. Twin studies show that identical twins are much more likely to both have dyslexia than fraternal twins, which shows how powerful a genetic link is. So, while the environment like teaching quality matters, genetics is the most significant factor. In brain differences, brain imaging shows that people with dyslexia use different neural pathways for reading and language processing. Their brains may have trouble connecting letters and sounds, which makes decoding words more difficult and slows down reading fluency. This is a difference in brain wiring, not a sign of lower intelligence. In language processing, many people with dyslexia have weaker phonemic awareness. That means it's harder for them to break words into sounds. This can make spelling, reading aloud, and learning new words challenging. Dyslexia is not caused by the environment alone. Contrary to common myths, dyslexia is not caused by poor teaching, laziness, or excessive screen time. However, a lack of early reading support can make symptoms worse because children don't get the structured help they need. Bottom line, dyslexia is neurological and hereditary. It's about how the brain processes language, not about effort, IQ, or vision. How can you tell if someone might be dyslexic? Dyslexia isn't always evident. Many children and adults work extra hard to mask their struggles with reading and writing. But there are signs and patterns that teachers, parents, and even friends can watch for. Here are some common signs in children. They struggle to match letters with their sounds, poor phonics skills, difficulty learning to read new words or sounding them out, trouble spelling simple familiar words. They may spell the same word differently in the same paragraph. Avoid reading out loud or reading together. Read much slower than classmates. Have problems remembering sequences like days of the week or the alphabet. May mix up letters that look alike, like B and D, or write letters backwards when young. This can be normal early on, but persistent issues may need screening. And here are some common signs in teens and adults. Slow, effortful reading. They may reread the exact text repeatedly. Difficulty summarizing or organizing written work. Poor spelling and grammar despite high intelligence. Avoid tasks like writing emails or taking notes. May excel in oral discussion but struggle with written assignments. What to do next? If these patterns show up consistently, it's time for a conversation with a teacher or school counselor, a formal education with an educational psychologist or specialist, advocacy for an IEP, which is individualized education program if needed, early interventions like structured literacy tutoring. Very important. Many people with dyslexia are brilliant, creative, and resourceful. They learn to read and write differently. The sooner someone gets help, the better they can build confidence and skills for life. Now, does dyslexia constitute a barrier to learning? Yes. If unsupported, dyslexia can become a significant barrier to learning. It mainly affects reading fluency, spelling, and writing, which are the foundation for almost every subject in school, from literature to science and even math word problem. Children with untreated dyslexia often fall behind in reading levels, which impacts self-esteem and motivation. But with the proper support, like structured reading programs, accommodations, and assistive tech, students with dyslexia can learn just as well as their peers. Many develop incredible strengths in creativity, big picture thinking, and problem solving. Here are some common myths and stigma about dyslexia. Dyslexia is surrounded by myths that can make life harder for kids, parents, and even teachers trying to help. Here are some big ones to bust. Myth. People with dyslexia see words backward. The truth is, dyslexia is not an eyesight issue. It's about the brain's language pathways, how it connects letters to sounds. The myth. Kids with dyslexia are just lazy or not trying hard enough. The truth is, many students with dyslexia work twice as hard to keep up. They often feel exhausted or embarrassed. Myth, dyslexia goes away on its own. The truth is, dyslexia is a lifelong condition. With proper support, people learn to read more effectively and develop coping strategies, but it doesn't disappear without help. Myth. Only boys have dyslexia. Truth is, boys are more likely to be diagnosed, but dyslexia affects all genders. Girls are often overlooked because they may hide struggles or get labeled as careless. Stigma prevents students from seeking help, which can harm their self-confidence and limit their potential for success. The more we understand dyslexia, the more we can support learning differences without shame. The big question is dyslexia treatable? Dyslexia cannot be cured in the medical sense, but it is highly manageable, especially when it's identified early. What works best? Structured literacy programs, methods like Autumn Gillingham teach reading in a very explicit, step-by-step way, building strong connections between letters and sounds. Phonics-based instructions. Systematic phonics helps children decode words, improving fluency and confidence. Speech language therapy. For some kids, speech therapists help with sound production and word awareness. Classroom supports, providing extra time on tests, audiobooks, note takers, and assistive technologies such as text-to-speech tools helps students thrive alongside their peers. New AI tools, apps like Microsoft Immersive Reader or Speechify help students hear text aloud, adapt reading levels, and build skills over time. The earlier the help starts, the better the results, but it's never too late. Adults benefit too. With the correct teaching tools and encouragement, dyslexia becomes a manageable difference, not a roadblock. Are there well-known successful people with dyslexia? Absolutely. Countless successful leaders, artists, and innovators have spoken openly about dyslexia. Let's take, for example, Richard Branson, founder of the Virgin Group. He credits dyslexia for making him a creative problem solver and has openly talked for years about how his dyslexia shaped his creativity as the founder of the Virgin Group. Steven Spielberg, one of the greatest film directors of all time, diagnosed as an adult. He revealed in interviews that he was diagnosed with dyslexia as an adult and spoke about how it impacted his early education. Whoopi Goldberg, award-winning actress and TV host who struggled with reading in school, has publicly credited her dyslexia as part of her story of overcoming school struggles. Jimmy Oliver, celebrity chef and author who talks about his struggles, success, and how he works around his dyslexia. Agatha Christie, a best-selling mystery novelist known for her iconic detective stories, is believed by historians to have had undiagnosed dyslexia. She struggled with spelling but went on to become the world's best-selling novelist. How is AI helping people with dyslexia? AI is already playing a significant role in making reading, writing, and learning more accessible for people with dyslexia, both at home in schools, and in the workplace. Here's how AI is making a difference right now. First, text to speech. AI powered TTS tools read text aloud, helping students follow along, understand the content, and keep pace with their classmates. Example: Microsoft Immersive Reader can read entire web pages, emails, or PDFs aloud while highlighting words as it goes. Number two, speech to text dictation. Instead of struggling with spelling or typing, students can speak their thoughts and AI converts them into text. Example: Google Docs, voice typing, Dragon naturally speaking, and dictation in Microsoft Word all help it with written assignments. AI's screening and early detection. New AI tools can analyze reading patterns, speech, or eye movements to flag possible dyslexia early than traditional methods, helping students get support sooner. For example, some startups and research labs are testing AI research games that detect signs of dyslexia based on how kids read aloud. Personalized learning. Adaptive reading apps use AI to adjust text difficulty, recommend extra practice, or suggest personalized exercises. This keeps students engaged at their own pace, not someone else's. For example, apps like Got It Real Writer and Speechify utilize AI to correct spelling and grammar in real time for individuals with dyslexia. Number five, teacher and parent support. AI tools assist teachers in creating accessible classroom content, translating reading materials into audio, and monitoring student progress. Parents can use these tools at home to give extra help with homework. AI can't replace teachers or therapists, but it can break down barriers, level the playing field, and help kids as well as adults with dyslexia learn, read, and express themselves with greater confidence. In conclusion, before we wrap up today's conversation, here's what I hope you take away. Dyslexia doesn't limit potential. It just means the brain reads words differently. With the correct teaching tools and understanding, every learner can unlock their strengths. I hope this episode has provided you with real facts, practical hope, and the sense that technology, when used effectively, can be a powerful ally for literacy and inclusion. And speaking of the digital world, next time on CyberClinic, we're tackling a threat that touches millions of families, schools, and communities worldwide. Cyberbullying. What is it? How does it spread? What impact does it have on mental health? And how can AI and digital policies help protect young people online? You won't want to miss this. Until then, stay informed, stay compassionate, and stay connected. Thank you.